So the message today is about finding inner courage. And I'm sure that has a different message to each of us. Sometimes just getting out of bed takes inner courage on the tough times and the tough days. And sometimes it's doing something that's, you feel the call within you, but you don't know how you're going to express it out there. But I have a little different take on inner courage today, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's think about where the word courage came from, because it's called, I think, if we're really living our lives the way God intended us to live, we tap into that courage every day. We have to, because the courage comes from the Latin word cor, which is heart. We're not taught to live from our hearts. We're really taught to live from our heads and to do what's right and follow a list of rules and do the right thing. But really, we're designed to live from the heart and to share love and kindness and goodness with ourselves, to be tender with ourselves and stern and tough at sometimes, and to be tender with others. And as Elliot was singing, and to be stern with a velvet hand sometimes. But that inner courage comes because we're called, the first original meaning of courage was to stand for our core, what we value, what we believe in, to have the courage to stand for what we believe in. How good are we doing at that? How good are we doing at taking what we believe, which we know together we have beliefs in our spiritual teaching? How good are we at standing in that truth? Not throwing it at somebody else, but standing in that ourselves so we're strong and balanced and whole. Because I think in this complicated world where roles definitely are changing, we need more balance than ever. We're called to try to live in wholeness and oneness, but it's tough. And we get challenge and resistance in so many places. Right now, I'd say a lot of people I talk to are almost, not quite, but almost consumed in fear and anxiety and questions. What's going on in the world today? Where am I supposed to be? Who am I? What's going on? Time is slipping away. Whatever the fear is, that seems to be a major topic. And so if fear is out picturing, if we go to the core, what is needed? What is needed is the courage. The courage. Now, Mark Nepo, who is an everyday mystic, he has a book called Finding Inner Courage. And he says, number one, we must face ourselves. Face ourselves. And Jesus said, if you bring out what is in you, if you bring it out, you will be saved. What is in you will save you. And if you do not bring out what is in you, it will destroy you. Now, there's many ways we could take that. But I think if we really look at it from today's standards and where we're evolving and growing and what we're becoming, it means we really have to look at all aspects of ourselves. It was Carl Jung that coined the word archetype, which talks about personality traits and energy fields and all the different attributes of masculine energy and female energy, of which we all have both. But there's usually one dominant energy field that we really align with. We're born with a tendency to live. And let me just share a couple of those. By the way, they have a bipolar tendency. There's a really positive attribute of the archetype, and there's a negative attribute, and we experience both of them. We can't push them away. We just have to be honest and face that. The male archetypes, the king. Are there any of those here? Kings. And they are honest, decisive leaders at their best. Strong and inspirational. And the other side is the tyrant. There's the warrior, who in their magnificence is a skilled, just protector that takes care of things. And the other side, can you guess, is a bully. And then there's the magician, the wise creator, who designs and creates many different things. And the other side would be the trickster. And the fourth one that we've only chosen 4 out of many is the lover. And the lover is alive and connected and present. And the other side is the addict. So there's a little bit of that, not in everybody. I mean, in everybody, we all have a little bit of all of it. But you've got to decide, who am I? Because if you know who you are, if you face yourself, you can monitor the different actions, behaviors, thoughts you have to move yourself, your messy human self, the lower self, into the better self that wants to express in the positive realm. Are you with me on that? Did you find yourself, guys? Did you find any of that in you, ladies? Because we all have a little bit. The girls are a little different. I certainly got myself on this one. There's the queen, who is a compassionate leader, or she can be vindictive. There is the mother, who is nurturing and caring and loving, or self-neglecting and stubborn. There's the wise woman, who's the spiritual leader, teacher, counselor, who just knows things, or the witch. Now be sure you say witch. Okay. Then there is the lover, who is passionate and intimate, or vain and fragile. Now, I'm sure we can all relate to pieces of that. And the reason I say it's so important to face ourselves is because, yes, we're all going, if we really face ourselves, it means we have to go deep to that core, because remember, courage is from the core, whether it's your heart or your core. We have to look at who we are and how we're showing up in the world. And oftentimes, the fear shows up is when we're not living our truth, when we're trying to live in alignment with someone else's values, or we're not using everything we have to create the world we are meant to have. You know, life is about relationships. If we think of Indra's net, which I've shown the picture up here many times, it's an ancient Hindu symbol of life. And it has invisible threads that connect all the individual pieces. And each piece, inside each piece, there's a little jewel that not only reflects the brightness of itself, but reflects back everyone else. Henry David Thoreau said that is the infinite extent of our relations. And all life really is about relationship with God, ourself, and each other. That's what makes life so meaningful. But it truly takes inner courage. Now, you can tell me no, you can boo if you don't agree with me. But it takes inner courage to stay in conversation when you're not in agreement with the person you're talking to. It takes courage to listen, to have a commitment to listen, instead of act prematurely, to speak, to overcome, to use that overtness to not listen and learn about other people. Do you agree with me? Have you been there? Anybody besides me that wants to correct someone else for sharing my views, me being right? That's what we do. But when you think about it, I'm not talking about somebody who's being abusive or awful, but just so we can listen to each other. Because whether we know it or not, we're all connected. There's a part of each of us and everyone else. And if we don't really build on these relationships, and that's what I said, with tenderness and kindness. So I'm going to ask you a question, and again, please don't throw anything at me. Is there anybody right now in your life that you dislike? Could it be somebody in your personal life, or could it be a business associate, or could it be a whole arm or part of government? Is there anything you dislike? Good, because we're not supposed to like everything. Good. But how are you acting? Remember, here's what Jesus said. How many years ago? Oh my gosh. This was so long ago. Like thousands of years ago, and we still don't get it. I don't know. But he says, if you only love those who love you. I'm going to say that part again. If you only love those who love you, where's the blessing? If you only do good for those who do good for you, where's the blessing? Because the blessing, this is my little friend Rumi, who came a little bit later, but he says, if you're irritated by every rub, how do you get polished? So Jesus goes on to say, love your enemies and do good to them, so your reward will increase. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. There is a concept in radical forgiveness, which is a program, which says, consider that every notion, every situation, every action in your life is there either locally or globally for your own evolution. So instead of pushing it away, we ask, what's the gift? Where am I to grow? Who am I to become? You know, it seems like a really big call, doesn't it? Be honest, doesn't it seem like a big call to love everybody? I mean, come on, you guys. Am I the only one that thinks it's really tough? It's hard, but it's important. Now, the Gospel of Thomas says what you are looking for is already there. You're simply not recognizing it. So I want to tell you something. This is something I found. And before we do our little dad's ceremony, I think it's really important for all of us to know that all parts of us are needed. On the wall of the Charles de Gaulle Airport, there is a poem. And it's been there for years, and it was written in black ink. And over the years, people have come in and blacked in the places that started to fade, because it's a poem for everyone. It's a way to really transcend fear and transform it into faith, and take anger and hatred and judgment and turn it into tenderness and compassion and love. I need your hands. I live in heaven, so I have no hands to work on this earth, no feet to run the roads, no arms to embrace the children. So I have need of you, and I have made you. With your hands, I can touch your brothers and sisters. With your eyes, I can see their souls. With your feet, I can walk and contemplate and reveal the Father's kingdom here on earth. With your compassion, I can heal the wounded. With your presence, I can comfort the afflicted. With your prayers, I can free the troubled spirits and heal the grieving hearts. And with you, I can bring forth miracles. So tell me, can I count on you? Can I count on you? I think to remember how much we're needed here on this planet, how much we're needed in the world, that helps us move through fear to find the faith, to know that God is always for us and never against us. So in a consciousness of love, we're going to have a love ceremony. And the love today belongs to our fathers and our men in the world. Men, we want to bless you for having the courage to be born in a time of radical change. Because as I said in the beginning, roles are changing. And you get to be a big part of it. Oh, hooray. We want you to feel our love and gratitude. Are you willing to receive gratitude from our community? If so, I'd like those men that feel comfortable to come up and form a beautiful line up front here. Just take a moment while our band gets together and just let all that goodness soak in. And when you leave today, be sure and thank Joe and Mike Fleischer, because they put all the Kleenex around today. They asked me if they thought we'd need it, and I said, it's Father's Day, we're going to need it. Yes.